So did BBC News give Andrew Tate a fair interview? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about BBC News interviewing Andrew Tate at his home in Romania, fresh after his release from a Romanian jail. I think him and his brother Tristan were both locked up due to some allegations dealing with women. We'll get to that in a little bit. Now, I'm not really sure why he allowed BBC to interview him because, of course, it's going to be very slanted. Andrew Tate is seen as misogynistic. He hates women. He's dangerous to children, all kind of stuff, right? He's seen as that by the masses, and BBC represent the masses when it comes to that kind of leftist thinking. Maybe he wanted to get to a large audience. Maybe he wanted to make a big splash upon his release from jail. I'm not really sure. The interview was very interesting. We're going to get into whether it was fair or not after we review it. What I'm going to do right now is play a condensed version of the interview, and I will link to this in the description box if you want to see it in full without my commentary. I'm also going to link to the full 38-minute uncut BBC interview in the box as well. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio and go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say.
Let's pause for a minute. Now, I got to stop it at certain points because BBC, I don't want to get copyrighted or whatever. And again, if you want to see it in full without my commentary, links as always will be in the description. But first things first. So what Andrew Tate did was run a cam girl website. You understand? So basically, there were girls that may have been living there, may have been working there or whatever, and they be on cameras and guys that pay to watch the cams, and I guess Tate and maybe his brother were managing it. If that's incorrect, y'all let me know in the comments. But that is the allegation. And I guess in Romania, that could be considered human trafficking. Maybe just the way that he went about it could be considered human trafficking. And I think he's being investigated for that right now as we speak.
And the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for money?
Absolutely not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No.
Now, let's pause right there. Throughout the entire interview, she speaks about, using emotional manipulation, all this and that, and the third. She's conflating emotional manipulation with a criminal offense. I don't think that's right. Now, if he is using emotional manipulation, I'm not saying that's right if he's doing it, but I'm not saying it's a crime either. Okay, there's two different things. Okay, if that was a crime, emotional manipulation, the prisons all over the world be filled with women more than men. That's just the reality, but it's not a crime, so they're not locked up. Let's keep on going.
We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely and utterly sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely and utterly, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated. And I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of Romania. I'm beholden to the Romanian legal system. And I'm not going to incriminate myself.
Let me read you then what you...
Now, a big part of the thing that was cut out right there, because she kept hammering the point home about, all these women that come out against you, that this person said this person said that, emotional manipulation. She was really trying to get him to incriminate himself a lot. It's like Vlad TV on steroids.
You have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together.
I don't think that's what I personally said. I think
that's exactly what you said on your website.
No, I've never said that. That's something that you found on the internet. Doesn't mean I've said it.
Your words.
And again, once again, if any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. I'm actually such a nice person that
The
I've never had
BBC has
anyone come at
spoken
me.
to somebody since your arrest who said.
Now, but before they get to the somebody that they spoke to, now the whole thing about him, meeting the girl, falling in love or whatever, she's trying to make that be some kind of criminal thing. Now, somebody might not like that he does that if he does that, but that's not a criminal thing. Again, going back to the whole emotional manipulation, if that was a crime, the prisons all over the world would be filled with women, and it's just simply not. So I don't think that's appropriate to link that to criminal activity.
Says exactly those things, that with you, it's all manipulation. There's an ulterior motive to everything you do.
Is this Sophie? Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face. No,
I was so intent on wanting to please him and wanting him to be happy that I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what is she accused? Has she accused me of a crime, this imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is
Has she accused me of a crime?
Emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question, and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you the questions.
Correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And
He's 100% correct. It's like, you're coming into my house, okay, let's have a little bit of respect here for me and my house. And just a quick note I wanted to say, and in the background, those are chess pieces. His father was a chess master. He also, I think, might have been linked to the CIA. If that's wrong, let me know in the comments. But I know that his father was a chess master, and I'm sure that he could play chess as well. I'm sure his dad taught him pretty well.
And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The BBC did not invent her.
Of course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she saying?
We're talking about emotional manipulation into the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human
Sophie
trafficking.
hasn't gone to court. Sophie doesn't exist.
I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe
They're not my words.
Coercion
They're words
and emotional manipulation.
They're words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't exist.
On your
so let's move on to
website,
the next subject.
She was doing this throughout the entire thing, and they cut out some of it. It was bad. It was really, really bad, trying to hammer the whole point about emotional manipulation home. It was incessant. It was really ridiculous.
Your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you, and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you. That's coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
What you've found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be
Your website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website.
So I guess there is a website, or was a website, that may have had some Andrew Tate stuff on it. I don't really know about that situation. I mean, that could be anybody's website. Anybody could put up a website and say that they represent you, but they don't. But I don't know too much about that website. Now, I will say this, to defend the BBC lady a little bit. There are some things that Andrew Tate has said that are right along those lines, because I've heard him say similar things to that. Now, I don't know about the exact phraseology of it. I don't know about that, but I do know that there was some similar things said. But again, to categorize that as some type of crime, and to mention it in the same breath as like real legal challenges and real legal accusations, I think that's wholly inappropriate.
It's the same, and it's been the same for a very long time. You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying to say is you're accusing me, and you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of, and that I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say.
Okay, now let's pause on that. That is a thing, that's the reason why Andrew Tate is such a controversial person. Because if his his takes about women and being the alpha male and all that kind of stuff, if these things were just consumed by like adults, 30-somethings and up, it wouldn't be a problem. But the issue is that there were like 11-year-old boys, 12-year-old boys going to middle school and reciting some of the Andrew Tate stuff. Okay, some of the more hot takes, some of the more controversial and edgy takes. So the moms are getting upset. They're getting triggered and they're saying, hey, do something about this man. Do something about this man, YouTube, Google, United Kingdom, United States, Romania. Do something about this man. And here we are having this lady basically doing their dirty work for them.
Because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive.
The reason we're asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like this.
Absolute garbage.
I've never heard him say anything that could go toward that, like assaulting women. I've never heard him say anything like that. That's crazy. That's totally crazy.
Organizations who are saying that are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny, schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils because of you and your teaching and your influence.
That's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against.
But
I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and some emotional control and stoic, we're going to have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago.
You know what? I agree with what he's saying, because there are quite a bit of problems that are already they're already there in society. They already exist in society. And to just say, oh, it's Andrew Tate's fault, blame him, it's like he's a scapegoat here. And I don't think that's right. Now, you could look at some Andrew Tate clips and say that, oh, he said this and that influenced somebody to do X, Y, and Z. But I don't think that's right. In a society that's not sick and failing and having issues already, his words don't hit. You go to a Muslim society, if they hear Andrew Tate, they could take what he say and interpret it one way. But if you go to US, UK, some of the West, some of the more super liberal, anything goes type places, they could take what he say and get a whole different message. How was that his fault? If anything, that is more of an indictment on society rather than Andrew Tate.
Image of success.
Disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
You sell an image of financial success with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's not what I said.
It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it causes.
That's not true.
Because
that's not true.
Making controversial statements like this online has made you a lot of money.
Okay, so first thing, I genuinely am a force for good in the world. You may not understand that yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things, and I want to make the world a better place. I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy, and I believe that eventually, when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good, positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money, because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs, or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you could make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you...
She wanted to just straight bypass that whole point. And you know what's funny about BBC, the hypocrisy about BBC, is that they'll have these rappers on there doing freestyles, talking about shooting and killing and thugging and drug and all that kind of stuff. And it won't be this level of intense scrutiny. You know, the thing about Andrew Tate is that he encourages young men to be masculine, to embrace gender roles. But, you know, your left-leaning organizations, your BBC, and back here in the States, all legacy media, even the Fox News with Caitlyn Jenner, they promote the whole thing about men becoming more feminine and gender equality, transgender, all kind of stuff. Okay, trans kids, all that weird stuff. They promote that kind of stuff. And then Andrew Tate has the audacity to speak about men and being more masculine and really embracing your male gender role. That's a threat. But like I said, what's not a threat is the LGBTQ, LMNOP, Black Lives Matter, all kind of ridiculous woke stuff that is truly destroying our nation and destroying the West as a whole. Those things are problems, but what he says is a problem. And that is the problem.
You then direct to your website where they pay to learn how to be like you.
I mean, I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make a joke online.
Are you saying that all the controversial things you've said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am the face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage. It's completely disingenuous.
It makes you
and
money.
The reason, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising praising the fact that their sons are listening to me.
Does it not worry you?
The fact that
the things I'm saying, does it not worry you?
It would worry.
Are you not concerned about your influence?
It would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. But for you to sit here and say, Andrew, you've become the most Googled man in the world, you have billions of views, and one is now saying that her husband is not the same man she wants him to be, when thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well, then I would say
I've presented you with case after case after case, with quote after quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
No.
I mean, there's people that may have a similar train of thought. That doesn't mean, like, you can name 10 people out of 7, 8 billion. That doesn't, what does that really mean? It just means that they have the same kind of liberal point of view. Just because they say he has that effect does not mean that they are correct. That's just their opinion. You can find all those cases and find many more that say the exact opposite. So who's right and who's wrong? Nobody really, because that's their opinion. So why try to present that as some kind of big, huge problem that's his fault? That's a ridiculous argument, in my humble opinion.
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda. You've come here with loaded questions. You've come here with things taken out of context. You come here with things that you don't understand are satirical. And then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos. And then I don't know what you expect me to say to that.
Sarcastic, and jokes.
No,
that's how you explain the comments you make.
For you to sit down.
Would you like to apologize for any of them?
For you to sit down.
Apologize.
For you to sit down. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's easy. For you to sit down and say that one woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video and now he won't do the dishes.
Schools.
Or whatever your argument is.
Police.
And that I'm somehow the worst, most dangerous man in the world because I have a car. Is just disingenuous. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting for them, providing for them, how I believe a woman should be treated in a relationship.
You know what? He's right on point right here. And, you know, the video is kind of coming to an end. And I feel like they might cut out the most important part that I heard him say. Because like I said, it's a longer interview. It's like 40 minutes long. I listened to the entire thing intently. I kind of took notes in my mind to listen for key things that they probably would cut out. So let's see if they address it. If they don't, I'm going to address it.
I've done all of this.
Okay, so they didn't address it. So, look, check it out. Okay, so here's the thing that I wanted to mention. First of all, the interview, kind of a dumpster fire a little bit. I mean, he got his points off, and then the lady was just trying to hammer the whole thing about, oh, no, you're misogynistic, and you're damaging, and you're hurtful. And then she was trying to correlate that to some criminal allegations, but it's not the same thing. He's not being accused of misogyny or being a male chauvinist in the court of law in Romania. You're talking about some actual allegations against the women, some human trafficking. That's much different than, quote unquote, being a misogynist. But at the end there, he was about to zero in on the most important part before they cut it off, which was the lady was asking Andrew about, oh, well, you said you got to have control over a woman. They got to do whatever you say. And in order for you to do the protecting you say, you got to control. What's up with that? He gave a great answer. He's like, look, if I am to be with somebody, if I am to protect them, and that's the expectation of me, I got to have a certain kind of degree of control. And that's correct. Because if Andrew Tate and a young lady are walking down the street, and then she wants to take a detour through her alley, and he says, no, let's not do that, and she does it anyway, then he is not able to protect her, because part of the protection is not just when the threat comes to us, I can react with a gun, a knife, being a human shield or whatever. We also got to do things that prevent us from going that direction. Okay, let's not go to the confrontation. Let's not go to the danger. Hey, it's a poto right there, and it's a down power line. Let's not walk that direction because it could be an active line. And if we go through the poto, it's good night. You see? But if you're not listening to me, if I don't have that degree of control over you, then it's a problem. And I think that she said something about you got to have control like you would do over a child or a dog. I don't think he said the dog part. Maybe he did, but I think he did say something about the child part. But that's the truth as well, because it's just like dealing with kids. Now, people are going to get offended. Oh, you compare women to kids. Listen, it's not even about that. It's about if you have children, they have to listen to what you say because you are responsible for their welfare, for their protection, for providing for them. They are dependent upon you. That's your responsibility as a parent. And the same thing, if you're a husband, if you're a boyfriend or whatever, and you with a young lady, it's your responsibility to take care of them. It's your responsibility to protect them. And it's the same principle that applies to kids as it does with somebody you protect. Even if you're a caretaker, like let's say you have one of your parents at the house, it's the same principle with kids as it is with a woman that you're with. It's the same because you have the responsibility. Therefore, they got to do their part. They can't be rebellious and wanting to act out and do whatever they want to do. And at the same time, expect for you to protect them. That's what he was saying. And that was a great point that he made that did not, it didn't make it into the final cut of what they put on the website or at least on the YouTube from BBC. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Andrew Tate for doing the interview. I thought it was, it looked good for him. I'll put it to you that way. There were some times he got a little bit flustered and frustrated, but I understand. You're dealing with a hostile person coming in there trying to make a hit piece. I understand. But I think overall kept his cool pretty well. I thought it was a good environment. I thought the chess pieces in the background, great touch. I'm sure it's his own furniture he already had in there in his house because, like I said, it was at his house. So it looked good. He had on, decent clothing, of course, as always. The lady looked kind of like frazzled. It didn't look good for BBC. It looked better for Andrew Tate and his point of view. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this interview? Do you think that Andrew Tate did well? Did he not do well? How about the BBC? Did they do well? Did they not do well? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This was a failed, in my opinion, hit piece from BBC that I think Andrew Tate handled very well. And my last thoughts about Andrew Tate in general, I think that he is a force for good. He represents masculinity. Some things that he says, people might get a little bit offended by. They might think he's gone too far. But at a certain point, you got to say certain things that kind of get some attention, ruffle some feathers. If he came to you like Real Drive, Ben Stein, C-SPAN, nobody would know who he is. So the things that he says that are very positive, that can help men going forward, nobody would hear it. And I got to add this one last thing. Whenever there's a man speaking about things that men need to do that are positive, that are forward thinking, that might be a little bit quote unquote offensive, whenever that's going on, there's all kind of forces that seek to destroy. It's always like that. When you have these guys called men's rights activists, they get destroyed. They totally just get pushed to the bottom of the barrel. That's kind of what happens. And I think the same attempt is happening with Andrew Tate, but it's kind of like Charleston White. You can't really cancel these guys because their message, their persona, their energy is just way too strong to bottle up and throw away. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.